everyone. This is Jessie Craig Bailey, and I am so excited to have her as my first interview for Inspirational Interviews. I'm actually just going to go ahead and have her introduce herself.
Yeah, so thanks so much for having me, Abby. So, like I said, I'm Jessie Craig Bailey, and I'm born and raised in Orem, Utah. And I went to the University of Utah for my undergrad, majored in English and Economics, go Utes. I'm actually starting at BYU Law School next week, so I'm switching teams. So I'm excited about that. And pageants have always been a huge part of my life. I was Miss Orem 2015, and then I was Greater Salt Lake and Timpanogos, and then I competed for Miss Utah for years, and I was crowned Miss Utah in 2018. And I loved it. I loved being Miss Utah. It was so much fun. And for the past few years, I've also been working as a copywriter, so that's mainly what's kept me busy. And then I found my hubby. Actually found him on Tinder, so that was a lucky find.
No way!
I know! So sometimes it works.
Love at first swipe.
Oh, I love that. I haven't heard that before. It was love at first swipe, for sure. But yeah, we met on Tinder, and then we got married in September 2019, so that's a little bit about me.
My first question to you was what your mindset was when you were going to start pageants.
Oh, well, I think it was just a whole jumble of things, because my mom was Miss Utah in 1991, and so I feel like I was born into pageants, and growing up she was always helping girls get ready to compete. And so when I was competing for my first one, I think more than anything I was just a little nervous, because I actually did a teen pageant, and so I consider my first pageant Miss Orem, but my teen pageant, I've been really nervous there, and to start competing in Miss, I was really nervous because you're more entering the adult phase of your life and trying to figure out what platform you want to have and what you want to do and where you want to focus. So a lot of nervous energy, but I was also excited because growing up I remember watching the parade floats, and I would see Miss Orem on the float, and being an Orem, Utah native, I knew that I wanted to compete as Miss Orem. And so even though I was really nervous, I was also super, super excited.
Love that. Was it your ultimate dream to be Miss Utah when you first started pageants?
I would say yes and no. I really, end game, I wanted to be Miss Utah. But in the process of competing for Miss Orem, I was kind of just focused on the step I was at. So I was just, I was just laser focused on becoming Miss Orem at the time. And I wasn't really thinking about Miss Utah. I was just like, I want to be Miss Orem. So my whole heart was in preparation for Miss Orem. And it wasn't until my first year at Miss Utah, when I was competing as Miss Orem, that I realized, whoa, I really in my heart want to be Miss Utah. Because I think up until that point, it was such a far away goal, when something feels so far away, it's doesn't even feel possible. But being at Miss Utah, I thought, this could actually be a reality. And that was the first time I'd really felt that. And so I would say June 2016, so about 5 years ago, was the first time where I was like, this is what I really want. It's something I'm going to keep trying for until I get it.
Love that. So going into it, was there any skills that you gained that you never expected that you'd have?
Oh, absolutely. I think for sure public speaking skills.
Oh,
yeah. You know, with all those interview practices, you learn how to form an opinion. You learn how to state it eloquently. You learn where you stand. You also find out who you are. And those public speaking skills are what have helped me land my jobs. They are what have helped me with school and getting different positions at my university. So I didn't really expect that. I mean, I kind of thought about it, but it is one of those skills that's invaluable, that has continued to serve me. And some other skills, I think makeup. Before pageants, I didn't really know how to do good makeup. And it's funny because if you follow my pageant years, there's an evolution. And so it starts out not the best. And then as time goes on, it gets progressively better. And makeup is one of those things you don't really think about. Makeup and hair, you're just meh, I'll figure it out. But pageants are what made me take it seriously and figure it out. And so now I know how to do makeup.
Love that. Okay, so throughout your pageant journey, right, from starting with Miss Orem, what were some things that you did to cope, in order to get ready for these pageants? And then, if you were ever at an event and there was something that was going on in your life and you just had to juggle your pageant life with your personal life. How did you cope with that, and what are some of your biggest coping skills that you used?
That's a really great question. Yeah, because there were some hard times for sure, and writing has always been one of my favorite outlets. I actually wrote for, it's called Her Campus. It's an online female-run magazine, and we had like a branch.
So cool.
It was so fun, and we had a branch of it at the University of Utah, and so I was able to produce articles every single week, and they let us write about whatever we wanted to write about, and so whatever was on my heart and whatever I was thinking about that day is what I would write about. And so I feel like really writing and putting my emotions into words helped me process them. Also journaling and writing things no one else would see, that really helps me process what I'm feeling. And also just finding someone I could talk to. Anytime I was frustrated or unsure, I would talk to my mom. Like sometimes there were people who would make like rude comments at events, or it was very rare, but sometimes it happened. Or if I felt unsure about something, I would just talk to my mom or my significant other, Tyson, and I feel like just talking and writing, those are my go-tos for coping with difficult things that would come up along the way.
Awesome. And then especially at Miss America, I can't even imagine, because I get there's that excitement, but then there's also that stress just trying to do your best performance. So how did you cope while you were at Miss America in particular? I'm just really curious about that one.
Yeah. So Miss America, I feel like it was all adrenaline. I was just running, oh my gosh, there were just so many feelings. And my favorite part of the day was kind of when I got back to my room, and I would call my mom, I'd call my boyfriend, I'd call my close friends, and I would just talk about the day and what I was feeling. And so even if there were times during the day where I was not at my best, or when there were like bumps along the road, I would know, okay, I get to talk to them at the end of the night, it's gonna be okay. And I think also just knowing, like taking a step back when there would be some setbacks and just saying like, it's okay, like this is going to be great no matter what. Things happen for a reason, we're gonna get through it. Because I think one of the most difficult things that happened at Miss America was figuring out my violin talent. So I had worked on my violin talent for years, like trying to perfect it. It was an original mashup that my violin teacher and I came up with. And when we got there at Miss America, you were only allowed to have 2 run-throughs. So you weren't allowed to really figure out the balance. And that could be devastating for an instrument, because if your soundtrack overpowers the instrument, you're in trouble. And so I was really scared. Like I was seriously crying because I was begging them, like, please let me run my song again. Like I just need to make sure the balance is okay. Thankfully, it ended up working out, and they were super kind and easy to work with. But at the time, I was like, my world is collapsing. The thing I was most excited for was performing my talent. And so it helped to talk to my mom. And then one of my favorite coping mechanisms is also prayer. And so when I just feel like the world is falling out from underneath me and I'm like panicking, I just pray and pray and pray and pray. And so I feel like praying, it just helped bring me peace, and I was able to recenter myself, and I was able to go out there that night and perform, and I felt really good about it. And but I think that had it not been for relying on God during that moment, I might have just freaked out a little bit more, or I would have been so shaken I wouldn't have been able to perform the way I did. So that's a little bit about Miss America, but that was probably like a tiny little blip. The whole time though, it was just so much fun.
Oh,
Such a blast.
Okay, so one of the biggest things with Miss America organization, with pageants altogether, is just getting yourself, what is the word? Knee deep and even deeper in service.
Oh yeah.
And that's a huge point to the Mind Medicine Circle, is just really learning how to gain self-esteem through service. So how did service change your life after you joined pageantry?
Oh, it changed it completely. My social impact initiative was all about getting young adults involved in service, because I noticed just how much it changed my life. Like, for example, I started volunteering with a rehabilitation center called Stonehenge. I started volunteering with them in 2015. And we went there to play some Christmas carols on the violin and to sing them. And the patients there were so kind and so grateful. And to see the impact that our music could have, it was amazing. And just the connection that we could have with those people just by spending a few minutes. It was inspiring, and it's something that you want to keep doing more of. Like once you realize, it's like once you realize I can do something, like I have something I can give, or I don't know, I have something to offer, you want to keep providing it. Or even not that, it's like if someone has a need and you can meet it, you want to keep meeting that need. And I feel like engaging in service helped create, I don't know, a better version of myself, because I think when we're young adults, we're also focused on, I don't know, like tuition payments, like our grades, we're focusing on work, we're focusing on love lives and Tinder and all these things. And when we take a second to stop and focus on other people, I think it's extremely powerful and so necessary. And one of my favorite parts about serving the Miss Miracle organization was serving with Primary Children's Hospital. And I loved it. I would get to go every single week and play bingo and name that tune with the kids. And it was just inspiring to see these young kids who were going through some of the most difficult things anyone could ever go through. But they still had great attitudes and they still came to play bingo. And it was just so inspiring. Those kids will never know how much they changed my life. And so just witnessing the kinds of people you can meet through service, and then having the opportunity to share that human connection with them is life-changing. You can't put words to it. And so I'm with you. For anyone who's not sure if they should serve or not, you should. Plus, it's scientifically backed. Like, if you serve people, it benefits them, it benefits yourself. Like, service can help you, and it's a great, great coping mechanism.
I have to agree with that one. Okay, so my favorite question, and I feel like the question that a lot of people are actually curious about. So when you ran for Miss Utah, you were getting ready, and then you competed at Miss Utah, and you got first attendant twice. I cannot imagine how hard that was, but that's where we go to abundance, because at least for me, my abundance would just be like, no, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm just gonna stop. I got first attendant twice in a row. So how did you have an abundance mindset when all of that happened 2 years in a row? Like, again, I just cannot imagine what that was like.
Yeah, that's such a great question. And one of my favorite pieces of advice I got at that time was from Miss Utah 2013, Sierra Pekarsik, and she says that with any loss or with any failure, you treat it like a breakup. You cry, you feel your feelings, you eat your ice cream, but then you pick yourself up and you move on. And so I definitely felt a whole wide variety of feelings. I was very disappointed because I had worked even harder my second time at Miss Utah, and it wasn't in the cards for me that year. And it was hard because I was also really grateful to be in that position. So it was like, I was grateful, but I was also like frustrated, like, why did this happen? So as time went on, I realized I don't want to be a bitter person, and I would rather be somebody who is excited for other women and who picks herself up and keeps going. And I think leaning more into I'm grateful to be first attendant when I could have walked away like with nothing, like focusing more on the gratitude and the blessings that I did have helped me to turn away from the frustration and the bitterness and instead hone in on those positive qualities. Because I feel like when you have any kind of trial, you're kind of at a crossroads and you can lean into the light side or the dark side. And if you go to the dark side, I feel like you're not going to progress and you're going to be spinning your wheels, and it's so much harder to eventually attain your goal. Like, had I stayed bitter, had I stayed frustrated, I don't think I would have won Miss Utah. And so instead of like redirecting my energy and focusing on gratitude and the good things I had in my life and the fact that there were so many silver linings, like because I didn't win Miss Utah my second time, I was able to go graduate college. I was able to have a director position at the University of Utah. I met the love of my life. Like, none of those things would have happened had I won when I wanted to win. And and so focusing on the silver lining really helped me pick myself up. And also just focusing on gratitude and trying to stay close to God, that all helped me to cultivate an abundance mindset.
I love that. So the year that you won Miss Utah, what would you say was one thing that you really worked the hardest on, and how did that help you win?
Awesome question. You have great questions. I was really, really focused on my mindset, because going into my third year as Miss Utah, I wanted to have the same mindset that Miss Utah has, And I wanted to live my life in a way that I thought Miss Utah would. And so I really, really focused on service. And so I started volunteering at Primary Children's Hospital, and I got involved with several on-campus positions that correlated with my platform. And I just really focused on living the lifestyle that I thought Miss Utah would live, so that I could get my head in that right mind space, and also so that my heart could be in the right space. I wanted my heart to be focused on service, not to take pictures on social media, but I wanted to focus on service for the sake of serving other people. And so I think by redirecting my energy and focusing on that, that really helped me to be the most prepared I could be. And that was my primary goal going into my third year of competition.
Love that. So with everything that you've learned throughout your pageant years, how are you going to use it going into law school?
Ooh, I'm going to use everything. I think what I've learned with, like we talked about towards the beginning, just presentation and public speaking, I'll use that a lot in law school, a ton. I think also knowing who I am and what I stand for. You're asked tons of questions, as you know, in mock interviews, on stage, and you have to figure out where you stand. And so I know where I stand, but I think another beautiful thing about pageantry is because you do so many mock interviews, you learn from a lot of people. A lot of people can give you their perspectives on life and their perspectives you wouldn't otherwise know about. And so I've learned how to be open-minded through pageants, and I'm definitely going to transfer that to law school. And I think just the resilience, kind of like we talked about, just there are a lot of different setbacks you go through pageants, whether it's not winning when you want to, or sometimes the music isn't right, or your microphone cuts out. And so it's learning to pick yourself back up and to keep going and to just be grateful for what God has given you. And I'm definitely going to take those lessons of resilience with me, because I know I'm going to have lots of stressful days in law school and days where there'll probably be tears, but I'll try to find the rainbow in the rain.
You got this. You're so strong.
You're so sweet.
So if there's anything that you want the viewers to take away today, what is your piece of advice that you'd give to them?
Like pageant-wise or coaching?
Just in general.
Just in general?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. I would say to just, with whatever opportunity you're facing, whether it's a pageant, competition, school, work, I think to really give it your full attention. Fully commit, like your entire heart, because I feel like if you really put your blinders on and give your full attention to something, great things can happen. And then on top of it, if things don't start to work out the way you want them to, then try to find the lessons. Be introspective and say, well, what can I learn from this? How can this help me grow? If I don't get this promotion when I want to at work, what can I learn from that? Or if I don't win this pageant this time, what can I learn from that? Or if I didn't get the score on the test that I wanted to, like, what can I take from that going forward? So I think just looking at failures as opportunities and then giving it your all.
Love that. Okay, Jessie, you are so amazing, and you guys gotta have a little peek inside of her life. And I don't know if you know, but I met Jessie when she was I think she was just ending her year.
Yes.
She was giving up her title as Miss Orem, and that was when I first started pageantry. And just how kind she was, and just the advice that she gave me. And I know that was 5 years ago, but it was at a little story time. We were at this event and we were doing pottery, I think. And it was just, it was at not Center for Change. Completely wrong one.
Yeah.
It was at,
oh gosh, I just linked on
the homeless shelter. I think it was at the homeless shelter.
I think it was the Food and Care Coalition.
Yes, Food and Care Coalition. And it was just me and her that showed up. And I got to know her really well. I just fell in love with her. And it's like, she is one of my biggest role models. And so that's why I feel so honored to have her here today. And I'm just so glad that, again, you guys could get some really good advice from her. I mean, she is life-changing. After all, she was Miss Utah. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me today. And I will see you guys next time.